Break breathing down into 3 main exercises. Breathing. First idea of breathing is using the entire spine to breathe. Hardly anyone ever talks about the spinal erectors as a breathing muscle. It is. You can use your spinal erectors, bend your spine backwards, but do it slowly. The rib cage expands and opens, and what will happen if you do it slowly and smoothly and repeatedly? So what happens? Oh, I'm inhaling. Why? Because you're opening up the front of the rib cage. The ribs are moving away from the pubic bone that basically sucks the diaphragm down. Expand. Doesn't matter. Try it, see what happens. Bend your spine backwards, bend your spine forwards, bend your spine backwards, bend your spine forwards. See if you can feel an inhale and an exhale happening naturally. So once you've got that, then you can move back to the previous exercise where you're talking about the ribs. Just expand the rib cage, lift and expand the rib cage, and then bend it forward, expand, bend it forward. And that too will cause an inhale and an exhale. And generally that's using the intercostals and the erector spinae together to help bend the rib cage backwards, open the rib cage, causing an inhale. Then you can either, if you're standing, you can relax, let the rib cage sink down, let the spine bend forwards, and that will cause an exhale because it's contracting or reducing the lung volume. Now if you're lying down, say on the floor, then what I call the relaxation stage would actually be active. You'd actually have to contract the front of the rib cage to drive the exhale. But going on from there, so that basically teaches you how to use the intercostals, the erector spinae. The next action would be learning how to use a diaphragm, and for that, generally what I do is teach people how to belly breathe. To belly breathe, the diaphragm pushes down, pushes on the abdominal organs, that pushes the belly out. So it's belly breathing, diaphragmatic breathing, whatever you want to call it. But generally, when lifting the ribs, the abs have a bit of tension, so it can be a little bit more difficult to push the belly forward unless you've had practice with it. So generally, when I'm teaching belly breathing, first thing I do is have people sink the ribs down. Belly relaxes, particularly when you're sitting, so that it's easier to push to expand the belly, make like you're pregnant, then pull it in, expand, pull it in, expand, pull it in, and this uses the diaphragm. It stretches the abs when you inhale because the diaphragm contracts downwards. And then you use the transverse abdominus, particularly if you pull the belly past the border of the ribs. That uses the transverse abdominus to push the diaphragm back up, and that reduces the lung volume, causing the exhale. So there you've got diaphragmatic breathing, and that, once you have that, then you can work on doing it with the ribs slowly, slightly lifted, inhale, exhale, and lift it slightly more, inhale, exhale. So now you've got the spinal erectors, the intercostals, diaphragm, transverse abdominis. Those are your main breathing muscles. And one of the reasons I do this movement a lot as a breathing exercise is it teaches people how to feel their spine. It moves the spine, which is probably a good thing, keeping it mobile. And it helps to open up the spaces in the ribs, and plus it's easy to feel your body if you do it slowly. So what are you doing? Oh, I'm bending my spine backwards. What are you doing? Oh, I'm bending my spine forward. What are you doing? I'm opening the front of my rib cage. What are you doing? Now I'm letting it sink down. All of these are experiences of the body. Helps people learn to feel the rib cage. The rib cage is actually a flexible structure. You can move it, you can change shape, you can twist it. So it all gives people, students, an experience of the body, helps them to learn it better. So the next stage is is it possible to combine intercostal breathing with diaphragmatic breathing? Yes, it is. Or, well, let's give it a try. What you could do is expand the belly first and then bend the spine backwards. And there's sort of like, the better you can feel your body control it, the easier it is to sort of like find the right speed for both. So rather than doing inhale the belly, bend the spine backwards, you can sort of balance it. You can expand your belly as you bend your spine backwards, but rather than memorizing a series of steps, you have to feel. It's easier if you can feel your body, hence my focus always on, again, it's hard on a video because you can't feel your fucking body, move slowly. I could keep saying it all the time. Basically, I should keep on saying, do it slowly, do it smoothly. I'm not just doing it slowly and smoothly so you can see it. I'm doing it slowly and smoothly so that you can follow along and then feel your own body from inside. So anyway, you can bend your spine backwards. You can start by expanding the belly, pushes the diaphragm contracts down. and then bend your spine backwards, and you find a pace where it feels right. And then the last movement you can do is, with the spine fully bent backwards, the midsection has a lot of tension because you lengthen the abs. Lift the ribs so that the abs engage. Anyway, so one of the final actions that I suggest, that I do for myself, is this actually uses the lower transverse abdominus, and this can be an exercise in itself. Pull the lower belly in. See how my upper belly remains still. So you pull the lower belly in, relax. Lower belly in, relax. This took me a long time to practice. I used to practice when I was taking a dump because I was relaxed. Very easy to pull the lower belly in and relax. So practice whenever. You might find it easier when you're sitting. Or you may find, nowadays I don't often teach it as a separate action, just teach it and see what happens. You could also focus on pulling these points of the pelvis inwards and then pull your lower belly back. But the idea is to do it on an inhale. So start with that action. Then instead of expanding the whole belly when you contract the diaphragm, if you pull the lower belly in, just expand the upper belly and then the rib cage. And then relax. And again, this will take some trial and error. Vary the rate at which you pull in the lower belly, vary the rate at which you expand the upper belly, vary the rate at which you lift the ribs. See where you can find an optimum balance. It may or may not work for you. And in general, anytime when the arms are above the head, anytime I'm lengthening the spine, I find it easier to pull the lower belly in. Why? With the lower belly pulled in, that actually gives some slack to the abdominus rectus, or the rectus abdominis muscle. What does that do? It makes it easier to lift the spine backwards without adding too much tension to the abdominus rectus. So you can think of it as a tension adjustment mechanism. So you can think of it as a tension adjusting mechanism. If you're having difficulty expanding your belly, opening the rib cage while bending backwards, while lifting your arms up, perhaps doing a back bend or whatever, try pulling the lower belly in just a little bit. So what would happen on the exhale? You can try a couple of things. You can try keeping the lower belly in, inhale, exhale. In general, I tend to shy away from any action which keeps one particular muscle engaged all the time. Muscles are designed to move, they're designed to relax and contract or vary. So generally what I would suggest, and what I try to do myself, is if on the inhale I'm pulling my lower belly in, expanding my upper belly, expanding my rib cage, then on the exhale I'll relax all of those actions.